Hi, this is Lorrie Bradford from St. Andrews in Winthrop, and I have the meditation minutes. I'm beginning with a story that I found interesting, and it's from Bread and Wine readings for Lent and Easter, but it sounded good. We say we want to forget the world, but in the depths of our hearts, we do not want to be forgotten by it. There are many ways to tell the story of what happened on Good Friday. According to John, it involved a collusion between religion and politics. While Pilate and the chief priests conspired to solve their mutual problem while managing to remain enemies, Jesus stood in the center of the stage, like a mirror which all those around him saw themselves clearly for who they were. In one way, we Christians have avoided seeing our own reflections in the mirror to pretend that this is a story about Romans and Jews. As long as they remain the villains, then we are off the hook, or so we think. Unfortunately, this is not a story that happened long ago in a land far, far away. Sons and daughters of God are killed in every generation. They have been killed in holy wars and inquisitions, concentration camps, and prison cells. They have been killed in Cape Town, Memphis, El Salvador, Alabama. The charges against them have run the gamut, but treason and blasphemy have headed up the list, just as they did for Jesus. He upset those in charge at the courthouse and the temple. He suggested they were not doing their jobs. He offered himself as a mirror so they could see themselves in. And they were so appalled by what they saw that they smashed it. They smashed him every way they could. One of the many things this story tells us is that Jesus was not brought down by atheism, anarchy. He was brought down by law and order, allied with religion, which is always a deadly mix. Beware those who claim to know the mind of God and who prepare to use force, if necessary, to make others conform. Beware those who cannot tell God's will from their own. Temple police are always a bad sign. When chaplains start wearing guns and hanging out at sheriff's office, watch out. Someone is about to have no king but Caesar. This is a story that can happen anywhere at any time. We're as likely to be the perpetrators as the victims. I doubt that many of us will end up playing Ananias, Caiaphas, or Pilate, however. They may have been the ones who gave Jesus the death sentence. But a large part of him was already died before they ever got to him. The part Judas killed off, then Peter, then all those who fled. Those are the rolls with our names on them, not the enemies, but the friends. Whenever someone famous gets in trouble, that is the first thing the press focuses on. What do his friends do? Do they support him? Do they tell reporters that, unfortunately, they had seen trouble coming for a long time? One of the worst things a friend can say is what Peter said. We weren't friends, exactly. Acquaintances might be the better word. Actually, we just worked together. For the same company, I mean, not together, just near each other. My desk was near his. I really don't know him at all. No one knows what Judas said. On John's gospel, he does not say a word, but where he stands says it all. After he led some 200 Roman soldiers and temple police to the secret garden where Jesus is praying, Judas stands with the militia. Even when Jesus comes forward to identify himself, Judas does not budge. He's on the side with the weapons, the handcuffs, and he intends to stay there. Or maybe it was not his own safety that motivated him. Maybe he just fell out of love with Jesus. That happens sometimes. One day you think someone is wonderful, and the next day he says or does something that makes you think twice. He reminds you of the difference between the two of you, and you start hating him for that, for the difference. Enough to begin thinking of some way to hurt him back. I remember being at a retreat once where the leader asked us to think of someone who represented Christ in our lives. When it came to share our answers, one woman woman stood up and said, I had to think hard about that one. I kept thinking, who was it who told me the truth about myself so clearly that I wanted to kill him for it? According to John, Jesus died because he told the truth to everyone he met. He was the truth, a perfect mirror of which people saw themselves in God's own light. What happened then goes on happening now. In the presence of his integrity, our own pretense is exposed. In the presence of his constancy, our cowardness is brought to light. In the presence of his fierce love for God and for us, our own hardness of heart is revealed. Take him out of the room, and all those things become relative. I am not that much worse than you, or nor you than I. But leave him in the room, and there is no room to hide. He is the light of the world. His presence, people either fall down to worship him or do everything they can to extinguish his light. A cross and nails are not always necessary. There are thousands of ways to kill him. Some of them as oblivious as choosing where you will stand when the showdown between the weak and the strong come along. Others of them are subtle as keeping your mouth shut when someone asks you if you know him. Today, while he dies, do not turn away. Make yourself look in the mirror. Today, no one gets away without being shamed by his beauty. Today, no one flees without being laid bare by his light. And that's a reading by Barbara Brown Taylor. Okay. I go walking with some friends, and I was saying I was doing a reading this Thursday, and one of them asked me to say this, to recite this, and I will, because it makes her happy. And let's see, it's Pete Seeger put it to music, Mary, and made a big hit, and Peter, Paul, and Mary made an even bigger hit, and anybody around, let's see, Bill, Tom, Sandy, our age group will remember this. You can sing it in your head. This is Ecclesiastes 3. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, a time for peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he labored? I have seen the travail which God hath given the sons of man to be exercised everywhere. He hath made everything beautiful in its time. Also he hath set eternity in their hearts. Yet so that man cannot find out the work that God has done from the beginnings and even to the end. I know there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and to do good so as long as they live, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy all in his labor is the gift of God. I know that wheresoever God doth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it, and God has done it that man should fear before him. And that's the ending of my reading, and I hope you enjoyed the music going through your head.
Amen.
Very good.
Okay, everybody, thank you.
Thank you, Lorrie.
Please have a beautiful day, everybody. Good to
Absolutely.
think about. Good
See you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.